Talk Radio Network.
Hey, this is Michelle Smith from the United States Olympic gold medal winning softball team, and you're talking sports with Randy Harris.
All right, we are back hanging out here at the Cool Breeze AC broadcast facility. Let's talk about Saturday.
Well, yeah, we got the main card, obviously, Dricus versus Izzy. Kai Kara France takes on Steve Ursig. Gamrot taking on Dan Hooker. That should be a good fight. And then Rosenstruck versus Taivusa. That's always going to be, a fight that anything can happen. One shot, somebody's going to go down. Li Jianlang is fighting Carlos Prates, so that should be a good fight too. Undercard is Junior Tafa versus Walter Walker. Josh Kalubia versus Ricardo Ramos. I haven't seen Ramos fight in a while. Yeah. Casey O'Neill is fighting Luana Santos. Jack Jenkins versus Herbert Burns. So that's the undercard.
They're all good fighters.
Oh, yeah.
I kind of like cards that people are saying, oh, never heard of them. Oh, that person hasn't fought in a while. Oh, because to me, these are fighters that are trying to prove something. The main card, most of those are all names. We all know them. We all know what to expect. But
most of the undercard fighters are from Australia.
Right.
Yeah. So that's, like you said, there's some and it's funny, all of the undercard fighters are from Brazil and Australia. So Australians are fighting Brazil. It's like Brazil versus Australia for the undercard.
It's probably a cheap flight from Rio.
Yeah, probably is.
So
good point.
We kind of touched base on the main event, for the championship. Sean Strickland, who happens to be on our TV screen right now from our broadcast at X, the UFC Fight Week, gets the winner. And I think it's going to be a good fight. I really do. Like you said, and I agree, it's not the Israel of 4 years ago. Right. But, of course, because it's not 4 years ago. Yeah. So
that's the dichotomy of our sport, right?
Well, and I started to say that before. It's just the evolution.
Yeah.
I mean,
and Matt asked us earlier, is it better now than it was then? I think so. For instance, Matt Hughes was a dominant champion. Mm-hmm. But Matt Hughes today would not be the dominant champion he was. He was strictly a wrestler and a very strong wrestler.
It's evolved.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and as we all know, new fans don't, but we do. The media, the fans that have been around forever. That was the original premise of this.
Sure.
Is you're a wrestler, he's a ground jiu-jitsu, he's a striker, he's a Muay Thai. Which system is better? And then it has evolved into somebody that's good or great in more than one.
But even still, if you look up back in the early UFCs, there wasn't anybody that was like, for instance, Edson Barbosa would have won the first UFC. The Muay Thai that he has, nobody had that back then. There was nobody at that level.
Right.
And there were fighters that could have probably come in and beat up Hoist, but they didn't want, I don't know what they wanted, but that's not even the point. But there wasn't great Muay Thai fighters. There were some kickboxers back in the day. But if you look at Chuck Norris's fights, they weren't great fights. They were terrible fights.
Right. Well, again, it's all evolved. I mean, we've talked about it, and I know you wrote a book about Ronda. Ronda wouldn't be very victorious today.
Right.
There's much better women athletes.
Yep.
She came at the right time that, she would do her throw, and they'd end in 40 seconds.
Yep.
If you remember back, and I would hope that you did you think that Holly Holm was going to beat Ronda?
Yes.
Because I did. I thought it was the easiest bet in the world.
I did too. In fact,
I'm just not a gambler.
I wrote that in my book. In fact, I was interviewed after the fight on a local Channel 11 in New York, WPIX, because I wrote in my book that Holly has the exact tools to beat Ronda Rousey. And I even said how she was going to win, and it was right on. And that book came out a month before the fight. So it was pretty funny.
How did Ronda take that?
Ronda hasn't talked to me, so I don't know.
Since then?
Well, I haven't talked to Ronda since even before the book.
Oh.
Yeah, I haven't talked to her for about 5 years now.
Well, and that's like, a lot of fighters, and I think I told you the story about Kenny Florian, a good friend of mine. We've been friends a long, long time. Steve and I got to see him at BattleBots not too long ago in Vegas, where he kind of gave me a little crap about, you don't pick fights. Why don't you pick fights? It's because athletes, they have a short memory, and they remember.
No, I have a long memory.
A long memory.
Yeah.
I was just saying short time.
Thin skin and long memory, and then they see you, and people don't understand. It's not like a football. Maybe it is like football because those are big dudes. But sometimes I wonder. Half these ESPN analysts, they can come up with the nastiest things to say about a quarterback.
Right.
Is he too old? Should he retire? And I'm like, God, guys, this is ESPN. Like, he's not going to not hear that.
Right.
Some of my shows, some fighters never even watch my shows, so I could get away with saying stuff. The Spike TV show is different, though.
Well, but that's not the point. And I say this all the time over at One Buck. I still cover them on a regular basis. I remember it vividly. The local magazine called Jorge Diaz a blankety piece of trash. And I've always said he could have had a bad game, and he probably did. And you could say that he had a bad game without calling him a blankety piece of trash. And it's just how you word it.
Yep.
He had a rough game. He went against a Hall of Famer. He went, whatever. You can say something negative without being an idiot.
When I was on my Spike TV show, Jim Miller came on. And Jim and I are really good friends, right? And we went out for a beer after the show. And then I got this backlash the next day on the internet that I disrespected Jim Miller. Who do you think you are, Mike Strzok? And I was like, what did I say? I even called Jim. I go, Jim, did I say something that pissed you off last night? He goes, no, not at all. He goes, what? I go, I don't know. I'm getting hate all over the place. And I just don't understand people. They don't know. Jim and I were probably fooling around with each other, busting each other's balls.
Right.
Chops. Yeah.
Chops. Basketballs.
Yeah. Basketballs.
You were out playing basketballs.
Yes.
And like I said, you can say negative things.
Right.
It's just how you say it. You could have a bad fight. You could have a bad, Mike Perry. I mean, that wasn't a Mike Perry fight.
But that was a stupid fight.
No, but I'm just saying you can say that it wasn't a good fight or it wasn't this.
It was a terrible fight.
Okay. And I'm saying you can say that.
But I've never seen a good Jake Paul fight, ever. Have you?
No.
Exactly. So I wasn't expecting a great fight. I was expecting a terrible fight. I'm not taking away from Jake Paul's business acumen, and I think he's actually done wonders for the sport of boxing because people are actually tuning in.
They're talking about it, sure. Yeah. Well, and that's why I said that, I love the hate. Being involved in this show, there's plenty of hate here, and which means people are paying attention.
Yeah.
People are paying money to watch Jake Paul lose.
Right.
And he's hand-picking, okay? Wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Wouldn't Jon Jones? Obviously. That's what you would do. Why wouldn't you? Yeah, you want to test yourself.
Jon Jones is afraid of Tom Aspinall.
I'm not saying that he's afraid. I'm not saying afraid. I don't think a professional fighter is afraid to fight another professional fighter. There's a difference between being afraid and deep down in your heart believing you can win.
Right.
How many people that fought GSP thought they were going to win? Come on.
Carlos Condit, probably.
Okay.
Nick Diaz, probably.
Johnny Hendricks, maybe, because he did.
He did.
But you know what I'm saying? It's being afraid to me is ridiculous. You're a professional fighter. You train every day. You get hit every day. You're used to getting hit. Unfortunately, some of them are been knocked out or used to getting knocked out, so they're not afraid of it. They're willing to go in there and fight. Just deep down, in from A Few Good Men in places we don't talk about. Come on, it's Chuck Liddell.
Yeah.
Did Babalou really think he was going to beat Chuck Liddell?
Yes, he did. Yeah, he thought he was.
Deep down?
Yeah, he did.
I know Babalou.
Babalou was bad back in the day.
We were matter of fact, I won't go into too much of the story, but did you ever hear the story about Babalou getting arrested at the Hard Rock in Tampa?
Yes.
So you know the whole story?
I don't know the whole story. I heard.
But you know that he got arrested?
I did.
Do you know the rest of who else got arrested with him?
Nope.
So there was a RFC event that day, and Babalou was in town. Babalou trained at our gym, David Vieira's gym, who's opening up a new one in Trinity. And I'm going to tell you the end of the story first, and then I'll fill you in the background. So as they were getting ready to arrest Babalou, and it was the Indian police, and and they're going to arrest, there was a guy there who was all part of our little circle, our little group, and was defending Babalou. And they said, if you don't leave, you're going to jail with him. And the person said, I'm absolutely going to jail with him. And that was Joe Marquis.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Joe's cool. Joe's a man's man.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it was all stupid. Babalou was in line to get into the nightclub, and somebody, grabbed him and went to pull him over, said, hey, come with us into the VIP line. And he went over to the VIP line, and the badass security guard's like, no, I saw you walk over here. Go get back in line. And so we walked over there, and that's when the whole thing happened. So, all ugly.
It's so funny that bouncers are paid to de-escalate situations, and half the time they escalate.
They escalate it, for sure. We're at the bottom of the hour. Let's hit a quick break. Coming to you live from the Cool Breeze AC broadcast facility. This is Knockout Radio, brought to you by 8 Man Strong, Staff Zone, and Bucked Up Energy Drink.
Hi, this is Sean Payton. You're talking sports with Randy Harris.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
8 Man Strong is not simply about the biggest or strongest. It's about those who have survived true lows, suffered, faced demons real or in their heads, and are fighting to come back against it all.